Good evening,
Skype just
Drew.
gets a little bit worse every time I open it. Now I'm getting random people sending me messages on Skype about stock tips.
Oh, well, I mean, you're welcome.
Okay, I don't get it, man. Like, ugh. I really wish we had a better option, but this has worked out pretty well for us, all things considered.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. How you
Oh,
doing?
man, I am exhausted. I've
Okay.
got some little tummy troubles
Oh
today.
no. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay.
Okay.
I just had a big old bowl of noodles. So that's gonna
Okay.
that's gonna take care of it one way or another. It's gonna soak everything up, and then there's just gonna be a stuff that comes out of me at some point.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so we're a little bit behind because
hmm
you had a big week last week.
I did. My last week was pretty big. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I It turns out I know a lot of people that went where you went. My
Okay.
Instagram was full of at that place.
Okay.
So why
Cool.
don't you tell everybody where you went?
Well,
Because you went a couple places.
Well, okay. On Thursday night, I went to the Chaos and Carnage death metal show at King of Clubs, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was at the Sonic Temple Music Festival.
All right, so I wanna do
Mhm.
like a blow by blow here. So tell me a
Okay.
little bit because the King of Clubs show, your death metal show, that
hmm
technically took a day of your Sonic Temple away,
It
right?
did. Yeah. Yes. It
So
did. It
was it
did.
was it worth it?
Oh, 100%.
Really,
100%.
really
Oh
good.
yeah. 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 Face Yourself was great. Rivers of Nile was great. Cattle Decapitation was fan fucking tastic. Yeah, it was a real good show. It was a real good show.
Now,
I
how many
really, yeah.
people show up to that?
Oh geez, it was sold out. So how many people fit in the King of Clubs?
Oh,
Let's see
so
what
it was
says.
completely sold out.
850 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty intimate place though.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like this is a death metal show in Columbus that started at 4:30 on a Thursday.
4:30?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Jesus.
the first band on went out at 4:30, and it was done a little after 11.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wow. Okay.
There was a lot of
So
bands. There was a lot of bands. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's safe to say that people know me that I know that I'm not necessarily a concert goer.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost 7 hours of death metal.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
now I know I
yeah.
understand that it's probably
Mm-hmm.
not 7 continuous hours of death metal. I'm sure that
Right.
bands come and
There's
go.
breaks in between. Yeah,
Yeah, little breaks. So what do you do
yeah.
during the
Uh-huh.
little breaks? Do you guys like I don't know. Like what do you guys
Well,
do?
it gets kind of swampy.
I was gonna ask
In a
about
death
that.
metal, it
Yeah.
gets kind of swampy at a death metal show. So a lot of times we go outside just for. I mean, some of my extended friend group smoke, so we go outside for
Mhm,
for
mhm,
that,
mhm.
and it's just nice to not be in the swampy death metal show. Uh, full of stinky dudes. Stinky sweaty dudes,
Uh-huh.
and also like you might get something to drink because it's hot. It was a long show, so you might get something to eat because King of Club serves food. uh
Oh, in the swamp they serve food.
yes they
Okay.
do. Yep. So yeah, maybe sit down outside. uh yeah, so just just kind of chill, hang out, talk. Yeah, yeah, meet people. You meet lots of interesting people at the death metal
Oh,
show, so yeah.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure of
yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
So what do you drink? Is it like booze or do you got to really stay hydrated?
I mean, I've stopped drinking personally myself. Uh,
Oh, okay. Can we
uh-huh,
can we
uh-huh.
just stop for a second and talk about that?
Okay. It's not by choice.
Oh, maybe,
Uh,
maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
okay. No, no. The medication I am on, the longer I have been on it, the worse my reaction to alcohol is getting. So much so that last time I did it, I had like like an allergic reaction, like a histamine reaction, where like
Oh,
my nose like closed up, and it was very unpleasant. So I
oh,
decided
buddy,
I
I'm
don't like
sorry.
how that
Okay.
feels. So, yep. So I've done. My mental health is more important than the occasional beer. So yep.
I think I
Yep.
think that's just good general life advice, really.
It is absolutely.
Okay, so you didn't drink anything alcoholic then. So how do you stay hydrated for a 7-hour metal show? Is it just water?
Water. They have water. They have Gatorade. They ran out. They actually ran out of water and had to drink Gatorade.
Wow.
But yeah, water.
Wow, they ran out of water. There were no water faucets anywhere in that building.
Well, I mean, you could get a water. Yeah, you could drink from the faucet, but like I wanted something I could hold on to, you know.
Fair.
Yeah, and something that was maybe possibly cold. But
yeah, because it probably got pretty warm in there because it
did.
Yeah, when we get to the Sonic Temple part of things, last week was pretty warm.
Saturday and Sunday got pretty toasty. So
yeah. Okay, so you're at the 7-hour metal show. You see all these bands. Now, I think we've covered this before, but obviously there's a pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go in the pit?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I did get like pushed as the pit kind of violently expanded, or someone kind of got thrown out. So like, you know, even if you're not in the pit, you have to be aware of the pit because
the pit is everywhere.
It can be. Yeah.
The pit seems like it sort of is its own mass and its own entity at some point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need to be aware of the pit.
Now, are you familiar with like the wall of death?
No. Not in the context that you might be referring to.
Okay. So most pits are circle pits, right?
Okay.
So they're generally circular, usually has people going in a counterclockwise, you know, just kind of going around pushing people. Sometimes people go in the middle and show off their karate moves. Okay. So that's a typical mosh
show off their karate moves.
Yeah, you get some guys who like they're just dicks and just want to punch, use the mosh pit as an excuse to punch people or kick. So they just kind of sit there and they just kick and punch the air, hoping they hit somebody. Yeah, dicks is what we call them. Dicks.
Okay, not good etiquette.
If you're like at a hardcore show or something,
you should expect it.
But like this is a death metal show, it's going to be a push pit. So, which is fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
using all the jargon.
Yeah. So hold on a second. So we have walls of death. We have punch pits. We have push pits.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any other pits I should be aware of?
No.
Okay,
that's pretty much it.
All right.
So a wall of death usually like it happens like before like a particular heavy part or something, like the band, like the singer will stop singing and he'll basically call for a wall of death. And essentially what that does is the intention is the pit kind of spreads and you kind of get it like a moat where you get two halves of the crowd. So like the crowd splits in two, right? So there's a huge gap in between these kind of like two rows of people. Kind of think of like old school military tactics, right?
Okay, you got battle lines. You got one on the left, you got one on the right. Okay.
Yeah. And then at some point, you know, the lead singer will call for it, and usually the band, you know, gets like a big old breakdown or something just real kind of like loud or sludgy. And the idea is that both sides of the crowd just run at each other.
Oh, so it's really two walls of death.
Yeah. But yeah. So
okay, it becomes one.
Yep. And depending on how, you know, the crowd is feeling, that's just how big the wall of death and how crazy it gets. So yeah, there was a few of those as well. I did not partake, but when the crowd is splitting, you do kind of get pushed. So again, even if you're not in the pit, you need to be aware of the pit.
Get out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah, you are in danger.
You can be. Yeah. We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. All right. Please continue.
No, if you want to go along with the story, something happened on Saturday that was pretty much a high and low point of the whole trip at the same time.
Saturday. So this is
Saturday.
outside of King of Clubs.
This is outside of King of Clubs. Yeah.
So before we get to that, just to cap a couple things off King of Clubs. Then, so you go to that event. It's. I mean, I'm just going to call it. It's an all day event, right? It's 7 hours of death metal.
Mm-hmm.
So generally good event. Then everything was good.
Yeah.
Everything was great. Okay.
Everything was great. Loved it.
You know. And again, right, you're going to talk about Sonic Temple, and that is like a big multi-day festival, out of doors, lots of people, subject to weather, bands of varying quality, as we covered a couple times on this podcast already. For me, right, if you were going to drag me to any one of those, I think for the spectacle alone, I would do the King of Clubs thing, just because I don't know. I feel like it's a smaller crowd.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of it seems like that is a highly specialized environment for what you're experiencing.
Yeah, that a crowd of that size is just fun, right? Like it's, you know, like you don't get. I mean, you don't get people. I mean, you just said you would do it, but like most people that are there, like 99%, like, you know, they're there because they love metal music, right?
Yeah.
They know what they're getting into, right? They're going to hear loud, fast, and angry. Their ears are going to be ringing.
That is literally what you're there to see. There are not different bands playing different tempos, different anything. It's literally death metal, full send, go get it.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like that is you. That is what you're about.
It was great. It was so fun. I was just so energized after that.
I just have one more question. Have one more question. Did you wear your battle jacket?
I did not.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Too warm for that, or you just
It was too. I thought about it, but like, I don't want to wear half of a coat.
Yeah, what's that hot? Okay.
Oh.
All right, so that's good. I'm glad you had a good time for that. Not that you have to give me a number, but like, is it expensive to do that at King of Clubs?
That ticket was probably like $25 or something.
I was gonna say, right? It's a small show, right?
Yeah. It isn't, you know. And I did buy a couple of shirts.
Okay.
But you got to support the bands.
Food, drinks.
Yeah, food, drinks. Yeah,
what do you think? $100 for the day?
Yeah, probably.
That seems good value for money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Sonic Temple then.
Yeah, I'd never been to a music festival before, so this was my first experience. I didn't show up any days like right when it opened. I usually rolled in like at between like 12 and 1:30 each day.
You didn't camp there. You didn't do an RV. No. You commuted every day. Yeah, we talked about that part of it. Yeah,
and I had paid for the premium parking pass, which. Hey, Sonic Temple goers! If you're looking to improve your experience and you're driving, get the premium parking pass.
Worth it?
Because 100%. Because like they drop you like they have a whole big reserve for all the premium people. It's right by the entrance and exit, and like you have your own little route. So like I did have to wait like one night, but most of the time like I got in like. It was worse dealing with 71 traffic than it was getting in and out of Sonic Temple.
Okay.
So I highly recommend it. Yeah, I mean, Friday was weather-wise, it was an absolute beautiful day. When I got there, it was just kind of like raining just a little bit, just a tiniest bit, but it cleared up right away. And it was just kind of like overcast. So like the sun wasn't oppressive. It was like low 70s. It was like you couldn't have asked for a better day to spend outside and listen to music. It was great.
Okay.
The highlight of Thursday was I probably should look was Avatar. They were the band that I saw last. They competed with the Misfits for the headliner thing, the last band of the day. But it was good. Let's see. I didn't go Thursday. Friday. Okay. I saw Scowl. They're a hardcore band.
Scowl.
I saw Terror.
These are new bands for you.
Yeah, I was aware of Terror, not a huge fan, but they did a good live show. I did go see Anthrax. It was. I mean, so I respect Anthrax because, like Big Four, right? Like,
yeah, they crawled so everybody else can run, right?
And dude, the showmanship and energy Anthrax gave was almost completely unmatched for the whole rest of the show. They gave everything for their like 40 minutes that they played. It was really good. It was really good.
Good.
Yeah.
But
no buts.
Oh, it sounded like there was going to be a but to that statement.
Nope.
I respect Anthrax. ... But
no.
okay.
I saw Mr. Bungle.
Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, apparently they're back together. That was Mr. Bungle is weird. It's weird.
Mr. Bungle. I need to.
It's
Mr.
weird.
Bungle.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
A friend I was with kind of described it as metal's version of a jam band.
I'm looking at the picture of the band.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that tracks. Yeah. Mr. Bungle is an American experimental rock band, not a metal band. Experimental rock band.
Yeah. It's weird. That's all I have to say. Oh, Soulfly, I saw them. That was really good.
The band was founded as a death metal project while the members were in high school. Yeah, it was named after a character in the 1960 children's educational film Beginning Responsibility, Lunchroom Manners. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird stuff. Okay. And then the end of the night was Code Orange and then Avatar. Actually, I think I'm going to give the best show of the day to Code Orange.
You were very hyped for Code Orange.
I love Code Orange. It was great. They did a great set. Then went over, saw Avatar. It was a big, just absolute spectacle. Pyro, just good all around.
And it was at night, so it was like all lit up.
It was a little cooler. Yep.
So here's a question for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 stages there, as I understand it.
Yes.
How do they make it so like you're not hearing the music from the other stages?
Just pure unadulterated volume, really.
So basically they're blasting the volume in your direction from your stage.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like if it's quiet, you can hear other stages.
Okay.
You just can. And also, one thing I didn't expect, but now that I think about it, is it's very obvious. The actual stadium part of Crew Stadium, right? So that like the main stage is inside of the actual stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That stadium's a big steel building, just big steel, and it vibrates. So when you get like a low bass note, it's just an oppressive as the stadium goes. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Which you really can't hear it when you're inside, but if you're walking underneath it or like, into it and something happens, you really can hear it.
That energy has to go somewhere.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that was Friday.
That was Friday.
Okay.
Saturday, got there. I wanted to see Dying Wish at 12:30, so I did that. What else did I see? Body Snatcher. Kitty played at 3:30.
Kitty. Yeah.
Kitty. I was real excited to see Kitty. They did a really great set. It was actually kind of cute because like one of their kids, who's obviously like, it's a female band. They're roughly my age, actually a little bit younger. So they're starting to have kids now. And there was like this maybe 6-7-year-old girl, red hair on the stage. The biggest metalhead I saw the whole show. She was just rocking out and headbanging. It was awesome.
That's cool.
So I'm gonna skip to the end of to the end of the night.
Okay.
The last band I saw on Saturday was Slaughter to Prevail.
Okay.
Great show. Great show. I was so excited to see that band. Now, obviously, one of the big festivities or an activity you can partake in at festivals is crowd surfing.
Yeah. So different kind of pit in a way.
Yep. So basically someone asks like, hey, push me up, pick me up. The people around him pick him up. And then the crowd basically pushes them towards one of the edges where someone for security pulls them off and, then they have to go back through. Okay. So, crowd surfing is inherently dangerous just because that if someone, like
drops you,
it drops you. Yeah. And it does happen. Like there was some big oopsies, actually, I heard someone died at the Limp Bizkit show. I don't know.
From embarrassment
or got hurt or overdose. Who knows? Okay. So, but it is one thing if you are a teenager,
spry young lad,
or a petite female, and you want to go crowd surfing,
or as we say in this house, a creamy young man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're light. In my head, there's a cutoff. If you're 200 pounds, Done. You should not be
Yeah,
crowd
maybe
surfing.
not.
Okay? Should not be crowd surfing, but it happens. I'm at this. There's a lot of stage diving. Lots of not stage diving, crowd surfing in the Slaughter Prevail show. Big dude comes up. We're moving him along. The person kind of in front of me slips a little bit. And drops him, and he kind of slips a little bit, flails. Obviously, perfectly valid reaction, and kicks me right in the face.
Oh, God damn it, Paul.
Okay. But Drew, what is on my face?
Glasses.
So my hat goes flying one way because I'm wearing a hat. My glasses go flying another way.
Oh, in a sea of people.
Luckily for me, and I was kicked in the face, which is generally just unpleasant.
No, he kicked you in the face, like, as he's flailing around, not out of anger, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
His head is like away from me. He's looking up. He has no idea what's going on. He just got dropped, right? He's trying to not die.
Right.
I'm not mad at this guy at all, except the fact he was more than 200 pounds. Shouldn't be fucking crowd surfing, but whatever. Luckily, there was a stranger behind, like right beside me, who saw what happened, somehow tracked my glasses, picked them up. They were unscathed, unscratched, unbent. So I got absolutely, completely lucky on that one. But I did get my bell rung pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure.
So instead of deciding to stay for like Pantera at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I'm calling it. I'm going to go home.
You're just lucky you didn't get like a broken nose or a broken tooth.
Exactly. Like, I saw stars for a couple of songs.
Oh yeah, the Flash. Yeah.
Like I don't have a concussion, but I just want to go home and go to bed because being kicked in the face, it's not fun. So that's what I did. I went after Slaughter to Prevail. I went home. I went to bed. I felt great on Sunday, except Sunday just sucked because it looked really juicy out there. So hot. And honestly, the Sunday lineup just wasn't as good, at least for me, as other bands. I kind of rolled in there around 1:00. I watched 2 songs of Kim Dracula. That's not for me. I did see Of Mice of Men. They were really good. I was really impressed with them. Wage War, which is the band I had never heard of, but is like right up my alley. And then of course, end of the day, Slipknot. I did not go to the Limp Bizkit show because fuck Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, of course.
End of the day was Slipknot, and Slipknot, they do a really fucking good live show. So, yeah, that was the musical part of the week. Obviously, like I was actually really impressed with just the non-musical parts of it. They had like water stations out. So like if you had like a water bottle, you could fill it up. So you weren't paying for water the whole time, though you could pay for water and get like a cold bottle, which I did sometimes. Never really had to wait in line for much anything. The longest line I think I sat in was like 5 minutes to get a iced coffee. They had plenty of food places, plenty of like beer places. Like sometimes little lines would form, but it was just moving constantly. It was no cash, so like no one had to deal with that at all. It was just tap your phone, tap your card, get in, get out. Lots of different variety of food, pizza, noodles, like Asian, just everything you could think of.
How were the prices?
They're really fucking expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
How much merch did you buy?
Oh, at Sonic Temple, I bought. Hold on, I'm gonna have. I forget. So I bought a Sonic Temple shirt.
Okay.
I bought a Slipknot long sleeve. I bought a Slaughter to Prevail shirt. I bought another Avatar shirt, and what else? I feel like I got one more, but I can't remember what it is. I would have gotten more, but I didn't see any kitty merch and the Code Orange merch. By the time I got there, they'd already sold out of my size.
So here's a question for you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think bands make more money on the gate or the merch?
I've always heard the merch.
That's what I assumed, right? So that's like probably the best way to support the band, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, buy merch. Yep.
Got it. Got it.
But it was a good show. I really enjoyed myself, except for like the hottest parts of Sunday, which is oppressively hot. But they did a good job. It was, everything sounded really good. It was relatively clean. I mean, porta potties get weird, but what are you gonna do? But there's always the restrooms inside the crew stadium if you had to go, drop a deuce or something. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a really good time. I really, really, really enjoyed myself.
Cool.
Yeah.
So 2 questions then.
Mm-hmm.
1, lineup, obviously depending. Would you consider going back next year?
100%.
Okay. Will you go out of your way to look for other music festivals that are within reasonable travel distance?
Maybe. It'd have to be a really good lineup to get me to travel, I think, for a festival. Because then you have the additional burden of like having to find like having to sleep and having to get there and out. Right. I'm not camping. Paul don't camp.
No, I'm not. Yeah. Some of the people in my Instagram feed, I think, did that, and it's just like no.
Yeah,
I need that. After being out among the people in heat, I need a shower.
Oh yeah,
I need to be by myself. Like
it was nice to cool off, like cool shower, sleep in your own bed. Like, yeah. Yep. Yep. And, like, I wasn't in a huge hurry to wake up, to get there. So I'd wake up, like play some video games and then, or one video game in particular, and then just go in when I was ready. It was good. It was a good time. It was a good time.
So last sort of question about this, and it's going to be a weird question, but
okay.
Obviously, you have been a metal person for most of your adult life, and probably your teenage years.
Yeah.
Is Jennifer into it?
No,
okay.
no.
Okay, she's never gone to a show with you.
We have. She's gone to like see 9 Inch Nails with me.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about that's that. Yeah. Okay. She's gone to 3 or 4 9 Inch Nails shows with me. So
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would go see 9 Inch Nails.
If they ever come back, I'm getting a big crew.
And I would go to that. Like it would take a band like that to get me to go to a concert. Like when I look back at concerts that I went to in high school, I'll never forget like the one concert that I went to that I thought was like completely unhinged and it made me question everything I was doing with my life. Is I went and saw Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
And it was like rainy and muddy and just like it was. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. But yeah, I would go see 9 Inch Nails. I would absolutely do that.
Yeah. I would love for them to tour again.
Are they not touring at all right now?
Not right now. Trent Reznor's mostly making movie soundtracks these days.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I'm happy. I mean, obviously, I missed talking to you last week because I have things we need to talk about.
Okay, yeah, let's move that next topic either to next week or out.
No. We can do this real quick. Mine, I don't think will take super long.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to hear about this.
Okay. This is just a public service announcement. I love Diablo. It's probably the game I've played. It's either Diablo or Animal Crossing as like a series. The two games I put the most time into. I did enjoy Diablo 4 when it came out, warts and all, though I recognized it was not perfect. Season 4 of Diablo 4 has recently launched, and it's called Loot Reborn. And basically what they did is they admitted their entire loot system was shit and redid it completely. And they changed some other things. And I'm here to tell you, if you're thought about getting into Diablo 4 or bounced off of it the first time, get back into it. It is real good now.
Yeah, so
real good.
So we've talked about this. I did pick up Diablo 4 on one of the Steam sales. I tried it. I think I maybe played like 6 hours of it. I was playing a barbarian. I was playing on medium. I kept dying. I'm like, it was giving me obols and it was giving me like all this other shit that I didn't understand because like there's the whole season pass monetization thing. I had no clue what's going on. I had no stats that I was supposed to use. I somehow was using 3 weapons at once. I'm like, I don't
barbarians are
understand.
like that.
I don't understand any of this. So I bailed. But I have heard that now with these changes that you don't have to spend quite as much time agonizing over like what you pick to use on your character.
No, like gear generally has less like bonuses on them. They're easier to understand. There's not like lots of weird mechanics, except for like lucky hits still there, and that's can be a little weird. But most of the time it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to look and go, oop, this one's better than that one. One of the key mechanics of like Diablo 4 was like aspects, which are like powers you could put onto gear. The way you had aspects, before they were basically inventory items that you have to keep track of. Now that's gone. You just, if there's an aspect you like, basically aspects come on like legendary equipment. But if you don't like the equipment, you can salvage it. Then you have that aspect that you can put on any other gear. They really streamlined it. And they introduced a new system called tempering, which you find tempering manuals all over the places, which are basically like, it's a little bit of RNG, like a tempering manual will give you like one of 4 powers, and you can apply it to a weapon and you kind of roll and see which one you get, and if you have to re-roll it. But what it really allows you to do is really it's much easier to hone your build and like kind of instinctively know what you need and what is good, and have that available to you to choose to really customize and go through. And it just simplifies everything and makes everything a lot more customizable, easy to approach. At least I found it. They really, like in some of the stuff, they've really upped like the monster density. So it's really intense. It's frantic. It's fast paced. I'm having an absolute blast.
It's on my list to play. However, something else is about to dominate my life from a video game perspective.
What is this?
Okay, we've talked about Drew's flight sim bullshit on this podcast before. So for the digital combat simulations product, which is the thing, it's just like the overall wrapper of different aircraft that you can play.
Okay.
What I just put in the doc is the launch, or is the announcement trailer, for the new F4E module for DCS. This is the F4E Phantom. This has been like a fighter jet that like I used to have like posters of on my wall. Just because like this aircraft is sort of legendary from like Vietnam and even like into the 80s a little bit.
Yeah.
This trailer is exceptionally well done. Heat Blur is a company that makes these like really super high fidelity simulations in the game. I will be purchasing this. It will be a whole new aircraft that I have to learn, and like you literally have to learn like every system. But that trailer is like, fuck. It is so fucking good. I can't wait to get my hands on it and play it. It's $70. It's a $70 DLC.
Okay. All
right. But yeah, this is what's going to be occupying my time. Although I do want to do Diablo 4. You should watch that trailer. It's exceptionally well produced. They do, and it's all in-game footage, by the way. Like,
oh wow,
yeah,
wow.
It's exceptionally well done. But yeah, I will be trying Diablo 4 again at some point. I'm just wondering, like, does it make more sense for me to just tank my character and start over? Like, I wasn't that far into it.
Yeah. You can skip the campaign entirely. If you
but I never did the campaign. Like
campaign. I mean, so it's a Diablo story. Like,
but don't you have to do it to find all the like the idols that give you the aspects?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
How do you get them?
You do the Helltide, Drew. You do the Helltide.
Okay, do the Helltide. I don't know what that is.
You probably never got to like World Tier 3. You were playing in World Tier 2, I think you said it was on medium.
Yeah.
So Helltide actually now is in World Tier 2, so that's where I recommend that you start. It is an overworld event, so like it's on the big map, and basically a couple of the regions turn red and all spooky, and the monster density goes way up. The level of the monsters goes up, so they're a little bit more difficult. And you just go through, just tear through monsters, and you get you get these little red things you collect. And then if you collect enough little red things, you can go open up a chest, and the chest got really good gear. It's got really good gear. Or you can do whispers, which are basically little like quests, but it's very easy to get all the things that you need without the campaign now. I think it's still good. It's a good Diablo story. So take that as you will.
Yeah, I get it.
But I think the campaign is still good. In fact, I played it twice now. But if you just want to go in and kill things and see damage go up and see your level go up and fight monsters where their numbers go up, if you're into that and you're like, ooh, these pants are better than my last pants, Diablo 4 is a really good way to scratch that itch.
I mean, look, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Destiny player. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get
number go up.
Yeah, number go up. When number go up, you're good. Mm-hmm. Okay, we need. Right, so for the next 20 minutes of this podcast, we're going to talk about guns.
Okay.
If you bail out hard on video game stuff and you're still here and you're going to bail out hard on guns, like this is your time to stop and go with another podcast.
Okay.
So a couple things. Mm-hmm. Paul, as of last Sunday, when you were at Sonic Temple sweating your balls off, mm-hmm. I was in Coshocton shooting, and I managed to finally shoot a mile.
Nice.
Yep. And when I say shoot a mile, like, yes, bullets travel a mile. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, hit a target. Hit an 18-inch target at a mile.
You made the bullet go where you wanted to.
I made the bullet go where I wanted to go. And, you know.
It's got to feel good.
Buddy, with as many shots as it took. So my current fair market price for my ammunition for my gun, every pull of the trigger is $3.
Okay.
So I spent about $180 attempting to do that on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 boxes of ammunition. The ammunition comes in boxes of 20. It took me 3 boxes of ammunition at roughly $60 a box. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, look, my particular rifle. I'll tell you about how I set up for it and do all this stuff here in a second. But like my particular rifle, like it is not worth the time and the money to shoot at anything less than 1,000 yards with this rifle. Like it's just you barely have to adjust it all because it's such a powerful round. You really don't have to compensate too much. I mean, 1,000 yards, you do have to dial or scope a decent amount, but not terrible to shoot it. The wind does not necessarily take it very far or off in those conditions. Now, conditions Sunday when we were out there were perfect. There was hardly any wind, 1-2 miles an hour at most. But it was otherwise a perfect day. Now, the interesting thing about where we go to do this shooting is it is a range called Thunder Valley. And it is, ironically, at the highest point in the county where Coshocton is. And I say that because when you're at that range, and I have pictures on my Instagram for people who want to see it, but like when you're at that range and you're sitting, under the covered like hut that they have for where you shoot from, you sort of look out over this nice, gentle sloping, mid-eastern Ohio landscape. And the first like 700 to 800 yards worth of targets are actually below you. So that it sort of like slopes away from you and then it comes back up. And the 1,000-yard targets are about parallel with your sight line. Then behind the 1,000-yard targets are some other targets. But what you can't see from where you're sitting is there's yet another valley that sort of drops off and then comes back up. And the mile targets are sort of above you, like maybe 10 or 15 degrees inclined above you from where you're aiming, up on this hillside surrounded by dirt. Now that makes for some really interesting shooting conditions because like if everything was equal and everything was completely flat, the math is way different because what we were able to sort of deduce was, using our ballistic calculators when I was sort of warming up, if you will, at 1,000 yards, the ballistic calculator will tell you like, here's your calculated drop, here's how much you need to either hold over the target or dial your scope to. And the first like 4 or 5 shots I take were sailing like really high over the target, like impacting behind it and above it. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I sort of like trued my calculations up with my buddies who was spotting for me. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So dialed it down a little bit and was able to start hitting the 1,000-yard target with relative ease. And then the same thing happened on the mile target too, where the call for us to hold and aim at that target was higher than it needed to be. The reason for that is it's a hot day out there, no wind. We really believe that the sort of the wind currents or the heat rising off of those hills was enough to lift it. I mean, that's the working theory for us. Like, if we were to go out west to like Indiana, or go to like Texas or Kansas or someplace where it's like insanely flat, I think it's a much different experience than trying to shoot like in rural, hilly Ohio. That's just me. Or even if we were shooting at a target on a hillside, if there wasn't a valley between us for things to get weird with, I think it'd be different. So after everything was feeling good, I was like, we're going to go for it again today. We went for it last time. We weren't able to hit it. And, I think I took maybe 30 shots at it, landed one, not a super great hit percentage. And a lot of that is me. It has nothing to do with the gun, nothing to do with the conditions. It's just, when you're trying to aim at that target based on where the target is and where you're shooting from, you have to hold incredibly still. You have to have just really smooth mechanics to make sure that as you're pulling back on that trigger, you're not making the rifle move at all. Like, just the slightest little tremor throws that off at those distances. And I really wish we had a way to record what I see through the scope or what my buddy sees through the spotting scope, because I put rounds literally all around this little gong, like in the dirt just to the left of it, into the dirt just to the right of it. Like, put it this way, if it was a human out there under that kind of fire, they'd be having a really bad day, because I literally put, roughly slightly less than a half-inch, metal in relatively accurate places. I mean, I was within a foot of the target several times. There were a couple flyers that just were like really bad shots and that I rushed and that I didn't set up properly to do. But, the wind out there was not a lot, but it was enough that at that distance, my particular round is still supersonic at a mile. It's not transonic, because when bullets go transonic, that's when they get like really super squirrely. At a mile, my bullet is still supersonic. So that gives me a lot of advantages at those kind of ranges. And, it was just one of those things where there was a lot of haze. It was hot. It was not the most difficult of conditions, but by no means easy. And now, with the data that I collect, right, with what I know about how my rifle performed that day, the next time we go, we sort of know where to start, right? We know, given those conditions, what we expect, how much we should dial the scope left or right, how much elevation we need to hold. And when I hit it, it felt really good. I'm not going to lie. But now it's like, okay, I did that. So now it's just getting better at that. And, with this particular rifle and this particular caliber, like I said, like, it's not necessarily a gun that you're going to go out and plink 200-300 yards with, right? Like, I have other guns for that. This is, hey, we're going to go to a long range place and we're going to feed it expensive ammo and we're going to shoot like incredible distances. But it was good. It was really good. I'm really thankful for my buddy who has been, just super encouraging, super supportive. He has his own marksman goals, and like, he has a really nice rifle that plays really nice. Like 1,000 yards is right in its wheelhouse. He could probably stretch it to a mile if he really wanted to, but it'd be tough. But it's really good to get out there and do that. And like I said, it was a perfect day for it. So that was the second time I attempted to do it. Now I just need to get better at it. So I did it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It was really rewarding. I really wish I had a way to record it, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
But now there comes a time in a gun owner's journey of gun ownership that you sort of take a look. You sort of take stock of the firearms that you own, and you just think, do I need another one? Or should I spend money improving the ones that I have?
Okay.
And it is in that spirit that I'm here to tell you that I now own some suppressors.
Okay.
All right. So what do you want to know about this? Because there's a couple of different ways we can talk about this.
Okay. Okay. What's the okay? Okay. Legality? Question mark.
All right. So let's talk about it. Right. So obviously, here in the great state of Ohio, it's really fucking easy to buy a gun. Like, I'll never forget. Like, I moved to Ohio in 2002, and I moved from Pennsylvania. Now, growing up, I did not hunt. I had a lot of friends that hunted both archery and shotgun and rifle, and like, I never had a desire to shoot anything. Now, sometimes I would go hunting with them, but I would just go because like we would get the day off of school. Like the first day of like hunting season was like kind of, it wasn't like an official school holiday, but they would give the kids off that day, and they would make what we call Act 80 days, where teachers had to go in, but the students didn't, and everything sort of revolved around out in southwestern Pennsylvania because we had a lot of woods and a lot of places to hunt. So, I grew up around guns. My family didn't own any guns. We were friends with families that did, but we didn't own any guns. And like when I moved to Ohio, I was like, you know what? I want to buy a pistol. I want to go do this. And like in Pennsylvania, I think there's still a waiting period to buy a handgun. Like you can buy a handgun, and there's like a 3-day waiting period between when you buy the handgun and when you pick it up. And listeners of this show will know that the rifle I actually bought in Pennsylvania. There's not a waiting period for rifles. So like, a death rifle that can shoot a mile, like you could take home that day. But a pistol, you gotta wait 3 days. I don't get it. Pennsylvania has really weird laws.
I'm guessing because pistols are more involved in like crime.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, not the kind of crimes I would commit, but
well, yeah. I mean, I guess you're more likely to, like, if you're gonna knock over a gas station, you're gonna want a pistol and not a rifle.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I mean, you do you, buddy. Yeah.
But so that's kind of what I came from, right? And I'll never forget, like, the first time I went into Vance's down on Cleveland Avenue, and you literally had to take a number to buy a gun like it was a deli. I was like, okay, this is pretty wild. It's still a thing, by the way. So buying a gun in Ohio is very, very easy. I want one gun, please. And then they give you the gun you want. You fill out a form electronically these days. Didn't always used to be that way, but electronically. Okay. Before the electronic version of it, and I think it was this way well into like the early 2000s, maybe even like the 2010s, early 2010s, like you would fill out a paper form, and then like the gun store would like call in like the BCI or the FBI or some number that they would call. Mm-hmm. They would do like a criminal background check on you, make sure that you weren't convicted of a felony or wanted or anything.
Wanted by the cops.
Yeah. And they give you an all clear, and then you take home the gun. You have a gun.
Okay.
And again, that rule applies to pistols. It applies to shotguns. It applies to rifles. It applies to a lot of different things. But there are still certain like firearm things that you really can't do without extra special permission from the government. Mm-hmm. And one of those things is a suppressor. So let's talk about what a suppressor is and what it isn't. So the way guns work. I told you it's going to be a lot about guns. So if you're still
it's not like the movies, right? Yeah,
it is absolutely not like the movies.
Right. Because it is quieter, but not like silent.
The thing that makes a gun loud is pressure. It is the expanding gases that happen when you have a cartridge, right? Whether that is a pistol cartridge or a rifle cartridge, chambered in your barrel, locked behind a bolt. There is no place for that gas to go. These things they're not, I mean, depending on the manufacturer, like they're precision instruments. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere for that gas to go. So when you pull the trigger and the firing pin strikes the primer and ignites the powder, That rapid expansion of gas is it's the first sound you hear. The second sound you hear is the bullet going supersonic. Most bullets, like 45s don't, and like 22s don't, but like most rounds also go supersonic. So you hear a bang, and then further down range, you hear like a click or like a snap. That is the supersonic ripple of the bullet going downrange. Okay. So what a suppressor does is it captures that gas. So instead of that huge explosion being, like 137 decibels or whatever it is when that gas expands, as the gas expands and the bullet travels down the barrel with the gas behind it, the suppressor captures that gas inside of it. Inside of a suppressor is like a baffle system that captures that gas and sort of like stores it just long enough and dissipates it enough that it reduces the amount of rapid expansion and noise. That essentially is what a suppressor does. Now it's like way more technical than that, but like that's what you need to know. Like that's what a suppressor does.
I've got a question.
Sure.
So it's the gas that is propelling the bullet out, right? So like pushing the bullet out the barrel, correct?
So yes, the expansion of that gas is what causes the barrel causes the bullet, the projectile, to leave the cartridge, twist down the barrel, and exit the barrel.
So does a suppressor reduce the velocity of the bullet as it leaves, as it captures that gas?
Just the opposite. It actually increases muzzle velocity.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
Because now you're holding the gas behind the bullet longer.
Okay.
Right. Even though the suppressor is capturing that and dissipating it, it is holding onto that gas longer. It's essentially lengthening your barrel, if you think about that. Now, suppressors are not rifled, right? They're not rifled like a barrel, but they are like the same diameter as the barrel.
Okay. Otherwise,
yes,
it'd be really bad.
In fact, like that's like one of the first decisions you have to make when you buy a suppressor is how big of a suppressor do you need? Not necessarily how big is like the actual like object in like three-dimensional space. It is what caliber suppressor, because the rule is you can always go down. So for example, the first one I linked you is one of the suppressors I bought. It is manufactured by a company called Surefire. It is the SOCOM 556-RC3. That is a 5.56, like that's like AR-15 bullet for those of you that don't know these things. It's like AR-15 bullet size. That means that I can shoot any bullet of that size or smaller out of this.
Okay.
We'll get that. That's an important thing to remember, because it's going to be important here in a minute when we talk about the other gun or the other suppressor. So that's essentially how a suppressor works. Now, our government thinks that we shouldn't have these things. I'm not here to say I'm not like some like weird Second Amendment like gun nut, like Joe Rogan listening, like card carrying, like weirdo about this kind of stuff, right? I don't have a basement full of like food rations, right? Like I'm not that guy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I do find it curious that they make it so difficult to own these things. Because you're right, it is absolutely not like the movies. It does not make the gun silent. That said, the smaller the caliber, the more effective the suppression is. So, for example, I have shot 22 pistols and 22 rifles suppressed. You can very comfortably shoot those without ear protection.
Okay.
Right? 45 9mm, you could probably also do that without ear protection. This particular suppressor, this SOCOM 556-RC3, I think is just over the line. You probably still want some hearing protection, because it is still going to make some noise. It makes it more comfortable to shoot, but it still makes some noise.
Okay.
Now, the only way you fully eliminate noise is by reducing the amount of gas that is in your particular system, right? So like, for example, a bolt action gun will be quieter than a semi-automatic gun, because the whole way that semi-automatic guns work is part of that gas that propels the bullet down the barrel is recycled. It goes into a gas system that reciprocates the system and loads the next cartridge. Bolt action guns don't have to do that. Bolt action guns can send all that gas down the barrel. There's nothing you have to do with it.
Okay.
But the fact that you have to recycle some of that gas means that gas has to re-enter the firearm. and not go into the suppressor. Hence, it makes noise, right? So, like the truly silent firearms that exist today are a combination of really, really good sound suppression, meaning a really, really good suppressor, subsonic ammunition, which is loaded to lower powder ratings, meaning they travel slower, so they don't hold their accuracy over greater distances, and mechanics that are like well adjusted, because you will always have the sound of a cycling bolt. So those three things are like what you sort of have to contend with if you're trying to make a truly silent firearm. But I digress. So in order to own a suppressor, it is a process that involves the government. Okay. Now, you could argue that buying a gun also involves the government, because you are filling out some paperwork swearing that you don't do bad things and you won't do bad things with this gun. But a suppressor falls into a particular class of things that are regulated by what is called the National Firearms Act, or the NFA. Now, the NFA is interesting because it puts rules on certain types of firearms. And where this gets really cute is the ATF, right? Which is responsible for like overseeing all of this. Like, they are the government entity responsible for all of this. They have really creative descriptions of what they call quote unquote destructive devices. So they use very, very interesting legal language to wrangle and put rules in front of things that at best make them hard to acquire, or at worst put you in significant legal jeopardy if you do this wrong.
Okay.
So let me give you a little flavor of what it takes to buy a suppressor.
Okay.
Now, like all things, you don't get what you don't ask for. So a lot of people would look at what it takes to buy one of these things and say, I don't want to do all that. And that's fair, because it is a process. Now, the way it works is this. If I want to buy a suppressor, I have to go to the store where they have suppressors. I have to pay for the suppressor. Okay. I have to then also set aside $200.
Okay.
For the tax on the item.
Okay.
This is not a percentage. This is a flat $200 tax on any NFA related item. Now, what is an NFA related item? So a suppressor is an NFA related item. A short barreled rifle is an NFA item. So again, just to put this in perspective, right? Like, the other thing people like to do through this process is buy rifles that are shorter than what you can buy on the shelf. So any rifle is considered like quote unquote non-NFA if the barrel length is 16 inches or greater. That's pretty big for like a rifle. But some people want shorter rifles, like 14-inch barrels, 11-inch barrels, something that's a little easier to handle, closer range. You know, what's really popular these days are what are called pistol caliber carbines, which are basically like really, really cut down rifles that don't shoot rifle cartridges, but they shoot pistol cartridges. And again, right, this is where like the NFA rules, it gets like really ticky-tacky, right? Like, for example, I could walk into the store and I could buy a pistol caliber carbine, okay? And what it looks like is, it looks like a rifle without a stock, right? A shorter barrel rifle without a stock. I could buy that. I could buy that because it is classified as a pistol. Okay? It's classified as a pistol. But if I were to buy a third-party stock and put the stock on it and shoulder the gun, I could go to jail.
Oh, got it.
Right?
Okay.
Because now I have an unregistered short barrel rifle.
Isn't that why they invaded Waco?
That's one of the reasons. Yes. Yep. Illegally modifying machine guns was like the main reason.
Okay.
And I think grenades, but
Okay.
Okay. But anyway, so anyway, this is sort of what you're up against. So you go and you buy the suppressor, and they're not cheap. They are really, like, depending on the brand that you get and the caliber that you're into, like, there's a lot of things that affect price. So you pay for it. Then you have to start your paperwork. Now, the interesting
So you
thing
have to
about this is
buy it first, then do paperwork.
correct, because you need to know the serial number that's going to be assigned to you.
Okay.
They have to know like the make, the manufacturer, all this stuff.
Okay.
Now you can do this process yourself. Okay. The ATF has what is called Form 4. Now, Form 4 is what you fill out for an NFA item. Now, in order to properly submit an ATF Form 4, you need a lot of stuff. You need to know, number one, who is selling it to you, right? Who is the authorized dealer that is authorized to legally sell this to you? There's a bunch of like identification numbers, addresses, registered agents, stuff like that. Then you have to have information about yourself. Who are you? Where do you live? What county do you live in? What's your phone number? What's your height? What's your weight? What color's your hair? What color's your eyes? All that information. You need to submit a picture. You also need to submit fingerprints.
Okay.
Now, you can go and you can like go somewhere and get like fingerprinted and do the fingerprint card and like mail that in, do all that, right? You also have to identify you also have to properly notify local law enforcement that you are going to be in possession of this thing. And then you also have to decide who is allowed to use it. Now, this is where things get interesting. So when you're going through this process, you can choose to register as an individual, meaning Drew Ferguel is going to buy the suppressor. It is going to be registered in his name. He is going to be the person responsible for it. He's the only person that's allowed to use it. Okay. Which means, God forbid, Mandy is in the home and someone breaks in and she defends herself with one of my guns that has a suppressor on it.
Then she's in trouble.
She's going to go to jail. And I'm going to go to jail for not properly securing my suppressor.
Okay.
Now, the alternative is you can also establish what is called an NFA trust. So for like estate planning, chain of custody, you can also set up a trust that the suppressor or NFA item goes into. And at the time of the setup of the trust, in addition to all the information that I just collected about myself, I also have to collect about the other people in the trust. What this means is that the suppressor isn't registered to a person, it's registered to an entity. And anybody in that entity is entitled to it. So God forbid I get hit by a bus tomorrow. If it's in a trust, Mandy could have it. Mandy could decide what to do with it. Mandy could use it. Mandy could enjoy it. She wouldn't. But she could do all that stuff, right?
Right.
Now, after you collect all this information, you submit the forms. And you wait. Now, while you're waiting, the suppressor that you bought and the tax that you paid is money spent. The person you bought it from has to basically lock it up until they get the all clear from the government that you are allowed to have it.
Okay.
Now, unlike buying a gun where the decision is returned in like 10 or 15 minutes tops, this takes months.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, there's an asterisk on that. I'll tell you about the asterisk in a minute. But traditionally, people will wait anywhere from 30 days to 90 days to get an approval if you're an individual. If you're a trust, it could take 9 months.
Woof.
Okay.
Woof. Okay.
Now, your item is basically in jail. Okay.
Right.
Now, depending on where you buy it from, like for example, the gun store that I buy it from is a really, really nice gun store in Delaware, Ohio. Like, I could go there and under their supervision at the range, I could use it and then hand it back to them and they could lock it back up. Okay. But if for whatever reason I get like rejected, I'm not getting my money back.
Oh, shit.
Right. Versus if I don't shoot it, I don't use it, there'll be a small restocking fee, but I could get some of my money back.
Okay. It makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
That's the process. Now, when the approval comes back, you then you do one final background check to make sure nothing has changed from the time that you filled this out the first time to the time you're getting it. And if everything's good, You get to take it home.
Okay.
All right. Now, for the rest of my life, anywhere I go with these things, I have to have my paperwork either on my phone or on my person, because any ATF agent that would happen to be at any range I would be, or any function that I would be, or a competition or anything where I would have these things, has a right to ask me, hey, show me your tax stamp, because that's ultimately what you have to show. Is you have to show proof of tax paid and that you're the owner of this.
Okay.
And failure to do so, or just like refusing to do so, as some people will do, is not going to go well for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now, technology, Paul, I don't know if you know this. Technology has made things better.
Okay.
So there is a company called silencershop.com. What this is first and foremost is they are a company where you could buy silencers online. But more importantly, they also handle the accumulation and submission of all your paperwork to the government.
I was going to imagine that companies have sprung up around this particular need to make it easier.
Now, the dealer that I go to is what they call a platinum partner.
Okay.
So when I went to the store and bought my suppressors, they actually have a kiosk there that, like, you register as a new user. They have a digital fingerprint reader. They can take your headshot. They can, like, automatically register you on the government eForms website. So, like, you have a PIN number. Like, you go through all of that with, like, the people at the store. So at the end of your purchase, right, you've paid for everything. You've even paid the tax, like, into like an escrow account that then this company takes and uses to submit your form, right? They handle all that for you.
Okay.
Which is like super. Now, if you're on that website right now, I want you to go to, like, if you put your mouse over support, click on ATF wait times.
ATF wait times.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you look at eForms approval, right, you can see that there's eForm for trust, individual, and corporate.
Yeah.
So
1 day through 137 days.
Right. But look at the median wait.
101 days.
Yep. Meaning, and that's the nice thing about this, right, is if you submit through them, they know when your approval comes in. And they can track that. So if they're basically saying, look, what we're seeing, and this is like median, right? So it's not like, it's not as low as this, it's not as high as this, right? It could be like, this is the median over the past 7 days is what they're observing, right? They're saying that if you do it as an individual, you can get your approval in 3 days. If you do a trust, it's taking roughly 101 days. So 3 months. So it's not as bad as I said. Now, having said all that, I did individual.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. It's easier and faster to do individual because now they're in my possession and there's nothing stopping me from now establishing a trust.
I was going to say, can you go do one and then do the other?
Correct.
I imagine you have to pay the tax twice.
Or pay
that fee.
The rules around the tax stamp for the trust is a little bit different, but you're correct. Essentially, it's going to cost me a little bit more money, but I get the devices quicker. And now I can, like, go, like, set up an actual legal trust, right? Like, with a lawyer.
Now, is that easier since you've already been approved for it in the first place?
Nope.
No. Okay. No. Okay.
We have to resubmit all the forms. We have to get approval before the silence. Now, that doesn't mean I can't use it in that time, right? I can still use it as an individual.
You can use it. Nobody else can.
Correct. Yeah. But then if we move it into the trust, then it's like it has like chain of custody and like all this other stuff.
Okay.
But see, like, the rules get really weird, right? Because, like, suppressors aren't technically allowed in Franklin County.
Oh.
Right? Certain parts of Franklin County, like, you can't have a suppressor. So, like, if I were to, like, drive to your house through Franklin County to show you my cool suppressor and I get pulled over, depending on how cool the cop is, who wants to, like, search my car. Right.
Okay.
And there's rules about, like, traveling between states and, like, you know, going different places. Like, there's a lot of very, very legal peril and legal gray area involved with some of this stuff that it gets a little bit scary. And like, again, I think it ultimately comes down to how cool is the person that is actually confronting you about this. Right. Like how much of an asshole do they want to be about it when it's happening? Because worst case, I'm going to lose it, right? They're going to take it away from me and make it really, really hard to get another one in the future. Or like, I'm going to be like federally indicted for doing something illegal, right?
Right.
So anyway, so that those are my recent purchases. So I bought 2 of them because the other thing that I had read online is that when you're submitting your paperwork, you sort of shoot to the top of the pile for better or worse if you buy more than one at a time. Because it's technically one submission, right? I basically submit 2 forms as one submission.
Okay.
So I bought the RC3 and attached that to my M4 carbine, right? And I can attach it to other rifles that I own of that caliber or less. And then I also bought a rugged Obsidian 45. This is a 45 caliber suppressor, which means I can use it on a 45 pistol or I can use it on a 9mm pistol. It's really interesting as well. And like, it's interesting the way that these things attach. Like the SOCOM is designed to attach to like muzzle comp devices. So like on that page, if you scroll down under parts and accessories, you'll see that there's like these flash hiders and muzzle brakes that you can buy. In order for you to mount this on a gun, you need to have that particular muzzle brake.
Okay.
So like that's another, $100-$150 that you have to spend, right, to be able to properly mount this on your gun. Versus like the Obsidian, that's designed to thread directly on threaded barrels. And there's like different adapters and things that you can buy, but they're very fun. They're very comfortable to shoot. I'm in the process of having one made for me for my big gun.
Oh.
There's a company, you'll get a kick out of this. There is a company, I believe they're based out of Montana. Let me double check. Right. Yeah. Wyoming, sorry.
Oh, okay. Wyoming doesn't exist. That's a lie.
Yeah. So the name of the company is Thunder Beast Arms.
Of course it is.
But they specialize in like very, very high caliber suppressors, like 30 caliber magnums for like my big gun. They are actually actively manufacturing one for me right now. Okay. Like basically like to spec, which is pretty cool.
Huh.
Yeah. And it's not outrageously expensive, and like they don't need in fact, like the picture at one of the pictures at the top of their page is like almost looks identical to what like I'm gonna have on my gun. But they're in the process of building me one, and then once it is built, they will ship it to my dealer. I will pay for it, and I will go through the process again.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool science behind this stuff. It definitely makes shooting more enjoyable. I will say that, especially like because like some of these too, you'll see like on that Thunder Beast site, like some of them also have like the combination of having a suppressor, which again changes a lot of characteristics about shooting. It changes your recoil pattern. It changes the point of impact for the bullet. It increases muzzle velocity. So there's a lot of cool science behind it too. And some of them have like built-in muzzle brakes as well, which further dampens like some of the recoil. So it's like you get like the best of both worlds. Yeah, so that's my big thing, man. It's pretty fucking cool though. Like it is cool. So fun. It is so fun to shoot things suppressed. It really is.
Good. Cool.
And like that's where I'm at. And I want to do a couple other ATF related things. I am in the process of thinking about doing like a short barrel rifle build, but that's a little ways down the line.
But I have to imagine if you're doing a lot of sports shooting, like the actual comfort of shooting it is a big deal.
Yes.
Therefore, this is a good investment, to make that hobby more enjoyable. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Especially for like the extreme long range stuff with my bolt gun, it'll make that way more comfortable. Because like 60 rounds later, I'm still a little beat up for my gun.
Yeah, I can
imagine. Not that gun has a ton of recoil, but being tense and holding it and just like being in that position all day is just like it. I'm old, right? I'm old. I don't move that way anymore.
Same.
But yes, you're absolutely correct. So like for like shooting competitions and things where, you get a little more comfort and it makes it a little easier to shoot all day. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So let me know when you want to try it, because it's really fucking fun.
You got it.
All right.
We have to wait for the trust though, right?
Oh no, as long as I'm with you, it's fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
I couldn't like lend it to you. I could go with you.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Is that a show?
That's
a
show.
Do a podcast?
That's a big show. A little longer than normal. Big show. But we were gone for a while, so it's all good.
We were pent up with content.
We were.
Hey, You can go online, doingtheirbest.com. You can find all the links, socials, show notes, all the links that you heard in here will be on that website. And thanks for listening.